If you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever wished that just one stranger would see your pain and choose kindness instead of turning away, then stay with me, because this story might change how you see the world. And if stories about courage, sacrifice, and quiet heroes move your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because sometimes the smallest stories carry the biggest truths. Red Heart. The first time she spoke to him, her voice was shaking so badly he thought she might faint. "Sir, can you pretend to be my husband, just for one day?" Rashid had been driving the same city bus route for 12 years. Same cracked vinyl seat. Same rattling windows. Same faces getting on and off, tired workers, school kids, vendors with plastic bags cutting into their fingers. Life on wheels, going nowhere new. He was 5 stops from finishing his shift when she boarded. She didn't look like trouble. If anything, she looked like someone trying desperately not to be seen. Thin. Pale. Dark circles under her eyes. She wore a faded blue sweater even though it wasn't cold. One hand clutched a small backpack to her chest like it contained everything she owned, which, as he would later learn, it did. She sat near the front, head down, eyes darting toward the windows. At the next intersection, 2 black SUVs rolled past the bus in the opposite direction. The moment she saw them, her body stiffened. Her fingers dug into the backpack straps so hard her knuckles turned white. Then she stood and walked toward him. Up close, Rashid noticed she couldn't be more than 25. But her eyes looked much older, the eyes of someone who hadn't slept safely in a very long time. "Sir," she whispered, leaning close so the other passengers wouldn't hear. "Please. I'll pay you. I need help." Rashid kept his eyes on the road. "What kind of help?" Her lips trembled. Tears pooled but didn't fall. "Can you pretend to be my husband, just for today?" He blinked, certain he'd misheard. "I'm sorry?" "They're looking for me," she said, voice breaking. "If they think I'm alone, they'll take me." Rashid's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Who?" She swallowed. "ICE." The word landed like a stone. Rashid had heard stories. Families disappearing overnight. Workers not showing up the next morning. Children waiting at school for parents who never came. He glanced at her reflection in the mirror. "Why me?" "Because you look kind," she said simply. "And because I don't think I'll survive if they send me back." Something inside his chest twisted. He thought of his own wife, gone 3 years now. Of the small apartment that felt too quiet. Of dinners eaten alone in front of the TV. Of how life had shrunk into a routine of work, sleep, repeat. No one had needed him in a long time. Until now. "What's your name?" he asked. "Marisol." He hesitated only a second more. "Okay," he said quietly. "Sit behind me. When we stop, you walk next to me. Hold my arm." Her face crumpled with relief so sudden it was almost painful to witness. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you, thank you." At the final stop, most passengers got off. Rashid parked the bus and stood. His knees felt strangely weak. Outside, the evening sun was low, turning the pavement gold. Marisol stepped beside him, slipping her hand through his arm. Her fingers were ice cold. 2 men stood across the street, watching people exit the bus terminal. Dark jackets. Serious faces. Rashid felt her grip tighten. "Keep walking," he murmured. They moved slowly, like any tired couple at the end of a long day. He forced himself not to look at the men, but he could feel their gaze crawling across his back. Halfway across the lot, one of them called out. "Sir!" Rashid stopped. Marisol's nails dug into his sleeve. He turned, trying to look mildly annoyed instead of terrified. "Yes? Do you know this woman?" Time froze. Marisol's breathing became shallow, almost silent. Rashid did the only thing he could think of. He frowned slightly, as if confused by the question. Then he placed his hand over hers. "She's my wife," he said. "Why?" The man studied them. His eyes moved from Marisol's face to their linked arms, to Rashid's worn shoes, to the bus driver badge clipped to his pocket. "Can she confirm that?" Rashid squeezed her hand gently, a silent signal. Marisol looked up at him, eyes glistening. "Rashid," she said softly, pronouncing his name with careful tenderness. "What's happening?" The way she said it, like someone who had spoken that name 1,000 times, made something shift in the air. The man hesitated. "Routine check," he said. "Sorry for the inconvenience." They nodded and continued walking. Only when they turned the corner did Marisol collapse against him, sobbing soundlessly. Rashid guided her to a bench. "You're safe," he said. "They're gone." She covered her face, shoulders shaking. I thought that was it." He didn't know what to say, so he did the only human thing he could. He put an awkward arm around her shoulders. Hey, you're okay now?" After a long time, she wiped her eyes. "I don't have anywhere to go," she admitted. "I've been sleeping in laundromats, buses, wherever I can stay warm." Rashid stared at the pavement. His apartment had 2 rooms. One empty. His wife's room. He hadn't opened the door in months. Before he could overthink it, he heard himself say, "You can stay with me tonight." Her head snapped up. "I can't ask you to." "You didn't," he said gently. "I offered." She searched his face, as if trying to determine whether this was real or another trap. "Why would you help me?" Rashid looked toward the fading sky. "Because someone once helped me when I had nothing," he said. "And I promised myself I'd pass it on." That night, Marisol stood in the doorway of his apartment, clutching her backpack like a shield. It smelled faintly of detergent and loneliness. He showed her the spare room. "You can lock the door," he said. "I'll be in the living room." She stepped inside slowly, touching the bedspread like it might disappear. "There are pictures," she said softly. Rashid nodded. "My wife." Marisol turned back to him. "She looks kind." She was. A quiet filled the room, not awkward, not heavy. Just human. "Good night, Marisol." "Good night, and thank you, husband," she said with a tiny, fragile smile. For the first time in years, Rashid smiled back. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the kitchen window as Marisol carefully made coffee. Rashid watched from the doorway. She moved like someone trying not to take up too much space. "You don't have to cook," he said. "I want to," she replied. "It's the least I can do." They ate together in comfortable silence. Then she spoke. "I can't stay forever." "I know that." Rashid nodded, though something inside him tightened. "But yesterday, you gave me something I thought I'd lost." "What's that?" She met his eyes. "Hope." Later that day, Rashid drove his bus route again. Marisol sat near the front, looking less like a ghost and more like a person returning to life. At each stop, ordinary people boarded, laughing, arguing, scrolling on their phones, completely unaware that a miracle was happening in seat number 3. At the final stop, she stood. "I found a community center," she said. "They help people like me. I'll be okay." Rashid nodded, trying not to show how much he would miss her. She hesitated, then stepped forward and hugged him. Not the desperate clutch from yesterday. A warm, grateful hug. "You saved me," she whispered. He shook his head. "No. You saved yourself." She pulled back, tears in her eyes, but this time they were not tears of fear. "If anyone asks," she said with a small smile, "you were the best husband I ever had." He chuckled softly. "Take care of yourself, Marisol." She stepped off the bus and walked away into the sunlight. Rashid watched until she disappeared into the crowd. For the first time in a long while, the world didn't feel empty. Because sometimes heroism isn't loud. Sometimes it's just a tired bus driver saying yes when someone asks for help. And sometimes pretending for one day can save a life forever. Red Heart. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and subscribe for more stories that remind us how powerful compassion can be. Because out there, right now, someone may be waiting for a stranger brave enough to care. Glowing star.